I know the name and all, but I just want to have it right for graphics purposes. Let me get you to say and spell your first and last name,
Okay.
your position on the team, and when you graduate from PH.
Okay. It's Glenn Holland, GLENN HOLLAND. I graduated in 1974, and I was a running back on our state championship team.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, Mr. Holland, thanks for your time. I got to ask you, we talk about that team, the 1973 state champions.
Right.
You know, what comes to mind? What's something that stands out with that team?
Well, hard work, first of all. We put in a lot of work. We were very disciplined under Coach Gaynor. He didn't take any mess from us, and we didn't give him any mess. So it was a lot of hard work, and guys were determined to reach a particular goal. And we were bought into the system, and we did it. Yeah.
When you look at it, seems like the catalyst for that state championship team actually was the previous year, 72, that tough playoff loss. Talk about that, and I guess how you guys use that as motivation maybe for 73.
Well, we knew when that 72 team, we lost to Glass. Very tight game, tough game. Thought we should have won it, but, it didn't fall our way. But we made a collective agreement that we would be back. We knew we had the catalyst to get it done. The guys had put in a lot of work, and we just kept building on that particular team, and that's how we got it done. Yeah.
With some of the guys I interviewed yesterday, they were talking about a key part, integration. The fact that, you were a star player at Addison, and obviously coming over to PH, a lot of them said if it wasn't for the integration, probably wouldn't have had the success you had. Just talk about the impact the integration had on this program.
Well, actually, we were scheduled, based on where I lived, we were scheduled to go to Addison, and then when integration hit, we had to come to PH. And I tell you, it was tough that first couple of years. It was very, very tough. A lot of tension on campus. We didn't necessarily want to be here. I don't think they necessarily wanted us to be here, but you had to acclimate. That was the rule at the time, and we had no other choice but to do it that way. And we made the best of it. That's pretty much the only thing you can say about it. Yeah.
Just talk about that camaraderie too, because it seems like all you guys, came together as one. I know it was tough early, but I guess the camaraderie maybe with the team kind of maybe even things out a little bit.
Well, football has a way, in my opinion, if you're going to play and be on a team, there's no I in that. And nobody looks any different when you got your helmet and shoulder pads and all that stuff on. We knew who we were, and they knew who we were, and it was a challenge. I won't say it was easy. It was a challenge, but after the school day was over, and we got in the locker room and getting dressed to go practice, then that's what it was all about at that time. Just about getting the job done, following the coach's directives, and putting everything that we had into it. That was the easy part for me and for us, I think. But then again, like I say, there was some tension on campus every now and then. So.
Well, I got to ask you, Coach Gaynor, the impact, how did he impact you, and what has he meant to you? What did he mean to you?
Well, Coach Gaynor was a no-nonsense disciplinarian coach. He meant to get the best out of you if he saw it in you, and he pushed you into that point to get it out of you. And then it was just a matter of us putting everything else together. The right guard, left tackle, and all that stuff. We put it together. But Coach Gaynor was, he was tough. I wouldn't call him mean, but he was tough. Didn't take any crap off of you. He'd grab the biggest guy, the smallest guy, didn't matter. And you did it the way he wanted it done, or you didn't do it at all. And we wanted to play. And so in order to play, you got to follow the man's rules. So that's exactly what we did. Yeah.
And then when I look at the stats on the team, you play on the offensive side and some defense too, I'm sure, but 400 points on offense, which is impressive. But the thing that stands out to me, you guys shut out 10 opponents, but in the playoffs, 3 shutouts to win a state championship.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think that'll ever be duplicated or something, but just talk about just how impressive it is, because you guys were impressive offense. I mean, your average score was 31-2 if you take the fact that you guys only gave up 3 offensive scores.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is we were going to be a run-dominating team. I don't think we passed when we needed to, but mainly it was a run offense. We had the horses to get it done, and we had the speed in different areas and things like that. We wanted to dominate the football. So the defense wasn't on the field but about 25% of the time, if that, because we dominated the game, and that was our objective going in there. It wasn't uncomfortable or uncommon for me to carry 25, 30 times a ball game. So when you dominate and keep the ball on offense, defense, they could get rested, go out there, do 3 and out, and we back out there taking care of our business. So that's how it worked.
Yeah. And finally, Mr. Holland, I got to ask you this question.
Sure.
When you look at the legacy of this 1973 state championship team, how does it looked upon 50 years later? I mean, you guys won a state championship in '73. 50 years later, the legacy of this team.
Well, I don't think. I wish they would have gotten a few more in these 50 years, but it hadn't happened. And so, with that being said, I think we've done something that very few people can say that they've done. And 50 years is a long time. But I hope that these guys can continue to grow and learn and be successful on the field, off the field. It taught me a lot about life and just being a man, how to become a man, a better man. And so I wouldn't take anything for it. It was hard, tough, but again, I think it made me a better person overall.
Well, Mr. Holland, anything else you want to say or add, sir?
Well, I just hope that these guys can right the ship, if you will, and get some more wins and go to the state championship and maybe get them another one. That's what I'd like to see done.
Good deal.
Okay.
Well, go ahead. Thanks so much, sir.
Okay. You're wet.
Get you to say and spell your first and last name, your position on the team, and when did you graduate and all that good stuff.
Okay. Randy Dickey, R-A-N-D-Y, D-I-C-K-E-Y. I graduated from Patrick Henry in 1975. The year that we won the state championship, I was a junior, and I was a linebacker and a part-time slot back on offense.
All right. Well, Randy, I appreciate your time today.
Skinny boy.
I got to ask you, that season, 1973, what was that season like? I mean, you win a state championship, but going into it, what was just the thoughts on that season?
Well, we were always well prepared, and, I don't think any of us had aspirations of what was going to happen at the end of the year. I know one thing, our biggest nemesis was EC Glass, and we started playing Elizabethan of Tennessee, who were the state champions of Tennessee the year before, and we went down and gave them a pretty sound licking. And after that, each game just seemed to grow, that we knew we were a really good team. We could get it done. And by the end of the year, I don't think anybody on the team thought we couldn't win a state championship, which did require further practice through Thanksgiving almost to Christmas time, which I can say we weren't all tickled about, but it paid off, and it was a great time in my life.
And something that you brought up, you guys, because of the VHSL point system and the playoffs, probably wasn't going to get in. I mean, even just think, you go 10-0, you're thinking you should get in, but that wasn't necessarily the case back then.
No, and I'm not quite sure of how the point system worked, but it ended up working in our favor because someone had an upset game. But yeah, it's hard to believe we were at that point 10-0, 9 shutouts, and wouldn't go to the state playoffs. So it turned out for the best.
And then you all speak so glowingly of Coach Gaynor and what he's meant to you personally, but just talk about him as a coach, as a person, and what did he mean to you personally?
First off, he was tough. You did it his way or no way. But I can tell you throughout my life, that's been a great thing for me. It's helped me in all aspects of my life, college, dental school, anytime after. It's always been good for me. I thought so much of Coach Gaynor that for years afterwards, I would run by his house and just stop and talk to him. I liked him a lot more after I played than I did while I played.
That'd be interesting. And, you know, when you look at the numbers, I mean, the numbers, especially on the defense, I mean, 400 points is a lot of points, but on offense. But defensively, you played 13 games, you shut out 10 opponents, but the thing that still stays with me when I read the numbers of your team, you shut out all your playoff opponents. And when you do that in the playoffs, you're doing it against strong competition. Just talk about just the defensive philosophy, because you only gave up 28 points throughout the season. You had 10 shutouts, 3 of those shutouts in the playoffs.
Again, I just think we were so well prepared. When we were playing the teams in the playoffs, or any team we played, we were playing against some really, really high quality players that played in college, players that played in the NFL. But at the time, we were juniors and seniors in high school. We didn't realize that was a big deal. And we didn't have any superstars on our team. We just had a really, really good, well-oiled team that played together.
50 years removed from this team, from the championship, what do you feel is the lasting legacy of the 1973 Group 3A, AAA, state champion Placekicker Patriots football team?
I still think one of the greatest accomplishments on that was, if you were over a certain number of enrollment in your school, you were AAA. And to have all the AAAs playing together with no divisions, I think that's a great accomplishment in itself. So.
And then obviously, finally, I know you got to go, but you know, just meeting up with your former teammates and seeing them, and you know, some of the coaches that are still with us. You know, what's that like to try to, when you guys get together? I'm sure it's like old times again, like 50 years haven't passed.
It is. You know, like I said, I was a dentist for 40 years, and a lot of the coaches, a lot of the players, former teachers were all my patients, and it makes me feel good that they thought that much of me. And yeah, to get together with these guys, because I've been in Roanoke ever since, it's just a great feeling. And I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Good deal. Well, Randy, thank you so much for your time, sir. An awesome interview.
All right.
Let me get you to say and spell your first and last name, the year you graduated from PH, and the position you played on this championship team.
Okay. Shannon Delaney, graduated in 1974. We had sorry.
Yeah, just spell Shannon, your first last
name. Oh, yeah. Okay. Shannon Delaney, SHANNON DELANEY, class of 1974. Played tight end, running back, punted, place kicked, and played some Rover back because we were that diverse as we were playing.
Was this you haven't left out?
I don't think so.
Well, first of all, Shannon, thank you for this time. This is fun for me.
Well, thank you for doing this with us.
Yes, sir. I got to ask you, the 1973 Patrick Henry Class 3A, Group 3A State Championship team, you guys are that team. When you look back on that team, what's a memory or one of the biggest memories that you have with that team? Hold on one second. Didn't want that collar.
Perfect.
There we go.
Thank you.
I want you to look like that. All right. Let's talk about that.
Well, I think the memory that I have is our coaching staff. Our coaching staff was so dedicated, so committed, did such a great job of preparing us for every game and every situation. And I think first and foremost, the credit for all of that goes to our coaching staff. I think secondly, we didn't really have any, all-stars or star players. We just played really well as a team together. And I think, again, getting back to the coaching and the schematics that they ran, and whether it be offense or defense, we played really well together and executed very well as a team.
You know, going into that season, what was the expectation? Because, you guys were starting to build something, but going into that season, what was the expectation? Did you think you guys could win a state championship at 73?
I don't know that I would say we did that one game at a time. And I think that we were real disappointed. The year before, we had a really good football team, and we didn't do a real good job in the first round. We lost to EC Glass. And I think all of us who were not seniors that year and juniors and sophomores came back as juniors and seniors and just felt like, we missed a really good opportunity to advance in the state, and we didn't want to let that happen again.
You mentioned the coaching staff, of course, Coach Gaynor. You guys speak so glowingly about him. What do you feel he meant to the team, and what did he mean to you personally?
I think personally he was a great role model. He really, from a standpoint of his demeanor, he expected a lot out of you, and which we all wanted to comply and give it to him. So I just think his whole approach to life, his whole approach to coaching were impactful on me in particular, and I'm sure every one of my teammates.
When I look at those stats, and the thing that there's the 400 points, that's a lot of points in 13 games. But from a defensive standpoint, you shut out 10 of your 13 opponents.
Right.
You gave up 28 points. But the biggest thing is 3 shutouts in the playoffs.
Right.
You shut out everybody in the playoffs. I mean, just talk about that aspect, because that's hard to do. I mean, to get 1 shutout, you guys had 10, 3 in the playoffs.
Right. Well, once again, it was all preparation. I mean, we had a game plan that was executed well. It was implemented well. It was designed well by the coaches. They had every team scouted as extensively as any high school program could have scouted it. And I just think that the preparation and the execution were what led to all of that. The interesting thing, you talk about we gave up 4 touchdowns. Well, one of them was a fumble recovery by William Fleming to run back, and we actually only gave up 3 defensive touchdowns the whole year. One of them was a broken play against Northside. One of them, we had 45 yards worth of personal fouls on Preacher Maddox going from Stanton to beat us, on that one run. So I think the results were even more impressive than the 28 if we could have gone back and maybe not made some of the mistakes we made.
And Shannon, what do you feel, sir, is the lasting legacy of this team 50 years later?
It's hard to say, because viewpoints change over time, and what is important to people today maybe wasn't what was important to people 50 years ago. I think the community, it was really interesting because we had a lot of fans who came to games who were not, they didn't have kids playing football. They were just there to support the whole, all the young people that were part of their lives and the school. So the fan base was much broader than just family and friends. I think that was pretty impressive, and I think it was just kind of a different day and age too because of that.
And then obviously meeting back up with your teammates. How fun is that? Because it seems like just seeing you guys interact right here.
Right.
It seems like time hasn't passed. You guys are still having fun.
It really hasn't, and it's interesting because we've all had different lives. We've all gone our separate ways with, family, children, jobs, the whole 9 yards, and probably haven't kept in touch as much as we would, in hindsight, like to have done. But when you get back together, you see these people, and it's like, well, it's just like it was 50 years ago. You see Ricky Harmon, you see Donnie Smith, you see Mike Airhart, you see Randy Dickey, and you just sit there and go, well, this is like it was yesterday. So it doesn't seem like it was 50 years ago.
Good stuff. Anything else you want to add or say I might have missed?
I don't think so.
There you go.
Probably
Shannon.
spoken enough.
No, that was great.
Thank you.
I love hearing this stories. Thank you, sir.
Well, it was great.
For graphics purpose, let me get you to say and spell your first and last name, the position you played on that team, and what year you graduated from.
Sure. I'm Rick Harmon. I played defensive back, free safety, and played wide receiver.
What year you graduated?
Okay, I graduated in 1973, so I was a senior that year that we won the state championship.
74 then.
We graduated in 74.
Okay,
73 was correct.
I just want to make sure,
my mistake.
because if you say 73, we got some breaking news. Eligible.
That's
and,
right.
and if you could spell your name, I just want to make
Sure. Harman.
Okay, and then first name?
Rick.
R-I-C-K?
R-I-C-K.
Okay, all right. Well, Big Rick, I appreciate you. And when you look back at 1973 and this team, what's one big memory that stands out to you for this team?
Well, I think probably the most important and I'm sure everybody else has been saying that, was the camaraderie, just the teamwork that we had, the cooperation we had from each other, the support we had with the community. But more than anything, it's just we were not a group of stars. We had some great players, but it was the teamwork. It was how we all came together for that common purpose. It was just incredible.
You know, going into that season, and Shannon mentioned this, I mean, last year, the year before, y'all had a tough loss in the playoffs, EC Glass, and it seemed like maybe that was some motivation for the 1973 team. If you could talk just about that aspect, because it seems like you guys probably left some meat on the bone in 72, so 73 is like, hey, we're going to do better.
73 was an excellent team. We were really, I thought in some ways may have been even more talented than the championship year. But we lost just a heartbreaker to EC Glass. I remember I broke my nose that game, and it was just such a horrible, horrible night, and we were just determined. And as fate determined, we got to play EC Glass, our very first playoff game, and it was 17-0 win, and there was so much at stake that game. There was a lot of revenge factor that night.
You know, and then one thing we were talking about before we started the interview, I mean, during that time period, you had integration with the schools and all that, and you talk about how big a role that played in the team
that
won it all.
Oh my goodness, you cannot even put a value on what the integration and being able to have the Addison players come and join our team the way they did. I mean, you had people like Barry Campbell and Glenn Holland and Louis Hale and Dyke Wood and some others, and Sherwood Casey, the coach, who came to join us. I tell you, it was, I don't know where in the world we would be if we did not have the addition of the Addison players. We would not be standing here if not for that addition from them.
You know, one thing that you guys talked about a lot, I've just adjusted, there's the answer, there we go, just
Sure.
One thing, Rick, that you mentioned also, and all the players mentioned, Coach Gaynor. What did he mean to the team, and what did he mean to you personally, sir?
I think he was such a leader. I hate to use the word fear. It was just that deep, deep respect that when he walked into the room, here was this little scrawny guy, with all due respect, but he commanded so much respect. And when you came off the field, you just wanted to have his affirmation of everything that you did. And you definitely did not want to have the wrath of Merrill Gaynor when you came off the field. I remember once when I fumbled against Andrew Lewis on a punt return, I was like, oh my goodness. Thankfully, I don't have to come to the sideline to endure the wrath of Merrill Gaynor, because it was not going to be pretty. But he was such an attention, there was so much attention to detail with him, whether it was offense running the play over and over and over again until it was perfect, or whether it was a defense just zeroed in on every single play that they ran.
You know, when you think of defense, and this is the biggest thing that blows my mind, 13-0 season, 10 shutouts, and you only gave up 3 offensive touchdowns, because one was a special teams play, but 3 touchdowns. I mean, 28 points overall, but 3 touchdowns. But what really just stays with me when I look at the numbers, 3 shutouts in the playoffs. You shut out your playoff opponents to do this. Just put it into perspective or context. I mean, because that's some strong defense. I mean, it's hard to get 1 or 2 shots. You had 3 in the playoffs.
You know, when you tell other people about that statistic of shutting out all 3 playoff opponents and shutting out 10 opponents out of 13, it's staggering. People hear that and they think, wait a minute, did I hear that just right? But it's really true. It's just, I remember one game, a film session, and Coach Gaynor turned off the film, and he just said, I don't know if you need to record this. He just said,
It's okay.
He said, guys, and he got our attention. He said, guys, this is the best defense I've ever coached in my coaching career. And none of us could believe that he just said that. But it was really true. Just how meaningful it was for him to say something like that to us.
You know, and then, you know, the lasting legacy, from your perspective, what do you feel is the lasting legacy of the state championship team 50 years later?
The lasting legacy. Oh, my goodness. That's a hard question. I don't think it's ever going to be accomplished again. I think what we were able to do that year, things came together in such an incredible fashion that I really don't think anyone will ever duplicate that. The way we were able to dominate the opposition, the way we were able to do it then.
And then, you know, finally, I mean, when I see you guys meet up, you know, your teammates, you know, it seems like time hasn't passed. It seems like you can go back to 1973. It seems like you guys always enjoy being around each other. You have the camaraderie, have so much fun, even 50 years later.
Yeah, you know, it's great. I haven't seen some of these guys in many years, but we just kind of pick up where we left off. There was just, like you said, you used the word camaraderie, and we were just so tight and so close. It's just, it's heartwarming. Just, I remember one teammate said, and he got kind of emotional, and he said there was something special about being in the huddle together. And he got emotional, and he said, I really miss that camaraderie of being together.
Awesome. Well, Rick, anything else you want to add or say, sir?
No, I just want to make sure that there was enough emphasis on the fact that we probably wouldn't be talking right here if we did not have contributions, not even the word, but those Addison players, those Glenn Hollands and Louis Hales and Dyke Woods and all those people in Sherwood Casey. You cannot put enough emphasis on the fact of the contribution that they had for our team.
Yes, sir. Well, Rick, you're awesome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a good one. All right. There we go. All right, Mike. So for graphics purposes, let me get you to say and spell your first and last name, the position you played, and the year you graduated from Patrick Henry.
Sure. Mike Airhart, Mikeairheart. I played defensive end and pulling left guard on offense my senior year. I graduated in the spring of 1974.
Well, Mike, first of all, I appreciate your time. When you think of this 1973 team that you were a part of, what's the biggest thing that stands out for you with that team?
Well, I just think, you know, given the limited size of our team at plus or minus 36 players, with several of us going both ways our senior year, and given the teams we played against, some of which fielded 70 or 80 players, I mean, it's amazing that we had the talent and outstanding coaching that led us to the state championship results that we had. When you think back on it, it's kind of like, how did that happen?
I bet you think about that a lot too, don't you?
Well, it's been with me my whole life. I told my friend Donnie Smith, our quarterback, that you know, as you think about sort of the top 4 to 6 events that shape your life, I think being a part of the state championship football team was certainly one of them.
And then one of the biggest things, you know, that's been mentioned, the integration, because at that time period it was integration, and obviously you got a lot of players from Addison. Just talk about the impact and the aspect of that helped you guys win a championship.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. So on the drive up here we live in Charlotte, North Carolina now. So on the drive up here with my wife, I thought a lot about that, and the fact that that made just a significant difference, not only in you know, coming together as one sort of integrated high school at that time, which was challenging because it was a first, and the great athletes that came from Lucy Addison High School, and we would have never, I think, become who we were sophomore through senior year in the continued progression of a better team each year without those athletes. There's just no way. And they were just, you know, they became friends, great guys. We learned from each other. I think it really reduced, the racial tension. I think sports is the ultimate leveling field, and so that made a significant difference.
You know, when you look back, I mean, the thing that stands out for me, I mean, this team, 13-0. Your 13 wins, 10 were by shutout. You only gave up 3 offensive touchdowns. 1 was a special teams touchdown. 28 points total. But probably even more beyond that, 3 playoff shutouts. You played on the defense. I mean, Coach Gaynor said to you guys, the best defense ever coached. But when you look back at that, I mean, you look back at it now, I mean, it's hard to get 1 or 2 shutouts. You guys had 10, but 3 of those in the playoffs. I mean, how could you just look at that and say, wow? I mean, do you look back at it and I'm sure you say, wow, we did this?
Yeah, I'm still amazed. I still shake my head and go, how did we do it? And again, Donnie Smith and I have talked about it more recently, and he had some interesting observations. But I think Coach Gaynor had the incredible ability to not only coach us above our skill set and our talent level, but was also just an academician of football strategy and schemes and plays relative to finding the weakness in our opponents, and he was the ultimate motivator, and I would have done anything he asked me to do. And when I did something wrong, he would let me know it, but it was a motivator. And so I think everybody understood what their role was on defense in their position, and we played it as a team. It was team ball all the way, and I think that's why we won, and that's why we were able to shut out these teams in the playoffs.
You know, when you look at this team, from your perspective, what do you feel is the legacy or the lasting legacy of the 1973 state champions in Group 3A, the Patrick Green Patriots?
What was the legacy?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think our legacy was an incredible head coach who had the ability to effectively take players who wanted to play and wanted to play for him, and wanted to win for him, and we wanted to win for each other. I think when it was all said and done, I don't think we ever went into a football game where we believed we could not win, and I think it was just uber preparation, both academically and on the field, and that will to win, that will to, once we were close to the end of our regular season undefeated, we knew we had something, and we wanted to finish it.
And then, and finally, it seems like when I see you guys beat up and y'all have the camaraderie and fun, it seems like time hasn't passed. It's how neat to see your former teammates, even 50 years later. I mean, you still are cutting up like you probably did when y'all were teenagers back in '73.
Probably even more so. I think there's such a there's so much common interest relative from whence we came, and everybody wants to know about each other and your families. And we care about each other, and I think that's, even though several of us haven't seen each other in years, we ultimately care about each other.
Good stuff. Mike, I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add or say, sir?
Oh, I just thank you for the time and willingness to spend time with us and learn about who we are.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'll have it right. I know it, but I'm going to make sure I have it right. Let me get you to say and spell your first and last name and the position you played at PH and the year you graduated.
Donnie Smith, DONNY-SMITH. I played quarterback at Patrick Henry on the state championship 1973 football team.
In class of '74.
That's right. class of 74.
Well, Donnie, first of all, this has been fun. I appreciate you giving me time. I got to ask you, when you look at the 1973 state championship team, what's kind of the biggest memory or fondest thing you look at this team?
The fondest thing I remember about the whole team was that we played as a team every game. And what inspired us to do that was the coaching behind us. The coaches expected 110% of us each and every play, and sometimes when that wasn't enough, they expected more. And we, as a team, were willing to do that for each other. And I think the team concept is something that I think we all learned very well under that coaching, and it served us well for the rest of our life.
When you look at Merrill Gaynor, what did he mean to the team, and what did he mean to you personally?
Merrill Gaynor, you know, he was fair to everyone. One thing about it is if you didn't do something right, he was going to let you know, but the same goes for anybody beside you who wasn't doing anything right. So he corrected everyone. He was a little man, but he was strong, and he had the respect of everybody on the team. I never saw anybody on the team try to get away with anything with him in the background. So pretty impressive.
You know, and also another thing that has been talked about, the impact of integration to this team and how you guys helped you to your success. Just talk about the impact, because you guys mentioned without a lot of the integrated players in, you guys probably wouldn't have the success you had 73.
That was impressive to me. It was in the early years coming together, and as a team, that's exactly what we did with each other. I had great friends on the team, black and white. It didn't matter your color. We were all doing our thing. We were all a team and doing what we were supposed to do with every play we could. And it really created great friendships, and it was a great way through the times of integration to learn how to live with each other and be on the same team.
Talk about the team as a whole, well, not the team, but that season, because the thing that just blows my mind, you guys scored 400 points on offense. Great. And that's impressive. We're not going to diminish that at all, but let's face facts, defense wins championships. You guys only gave up 3 offensive touchdowns, 28 points total, 10 shutouts. But what blows my mind, 3 of the shutouts were in the playoffs. All playoffs. You didn't give up a point in the playoffs. Just talk about just that aspect, because that is big time. It's
incredible. We were fortunate. Gaynor and Coach Gaynor and Coach White were just incredible experts, and they had Sherwood Casey, and everybody put it together. John Land was a quarterback for Coach Gaynor in West Virginia, and he was a quarterback and backfield coach. So and then Wayne Dotson was our youngest coach, and he helped put together. But the whole staff of the coaches and the mates we played with just were special people in our lives.
And then when you look at, you know, the legacy, because this legacy of this team, from your perspective, Donnie, what do you feel is the legacy of this team?
The legacy, I think, is that I haven't been with another group of guys who were as committed to helping each other win something that they were going for in life. It was a life lesson for me to be part of that. And, you know, it wasn't a fright that led you there. It was that you really wholeheartedly wanted to be in that team and do what's right for that team.
And finally, like, the biggest thing I noticed, it looks like time hasn't passed. When you guys meet up and you're talking to your teammates, you're having a ball, it seems like y'all haven't missed a beat since that 1973.
Yeah, well, it's we may lose memories for a lot of things along the way, but I don't think we'll ever lose memories of that team for each other. It was a special event in our life that year, and we'll remember it for years to come.
Good deal. Well, Donnie, anything else you want to add or say, sir?
I appreciate you taking the time to be with us and to put this all together for us. I think, you know, this is our 50th, and I'm not sure if this will probably be our last hurrah on this, so I really appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Appreciate you rallying the guys.
Oh,